Well, hi guys. Haven't seen you for ages and ages and ages. Lots have changed. We've painted the office. I'm trying to grow a Santa Claus beard, but it's not very long yet, so I don't know whether it'll work. So, unlike Lawrie, who's been trying to grow a beard all year, and it still hasn't got longer than that. So that's
I'm not allowed a beard. I am told by my nearest and dearest I'm not allowed to have anything longer than stubble, and even stubble is too much. So
I don't think you can call that stubble though, Lawrie.
No, it's a sort of fuzz.
I think
really.
That's a teenage attempt at trying to grow a beard like Daddy.
Teenager? I'm almost 30. I've got less than a month and I'm 30.
Yeah, but your hair thinks you're about 17. So there we go. Guys, really lovely to see you again. Haven't seen any of you for a long, long time. Obviously, we've had a tremendously up and down year. It's been one of our busiest years. We've got Miriam now on board. We've got a new vet starting in January, so that's all getting up. And I say I painted the office ceiling because it looked disgusting. Doug came back from his holiday, and we find he's engaged. So it's all happening here at Wildlife Aid.
Congratulations, and I'm really sorry if you were meant to tell people on that might be watching this live.
Oh no!
Just in case.
Why? They can know anything. They know everything that I know.
So now that we've ruined that surprise, it's also the great thing about the painting. Simon had that done at a weekend when nobody was here, and he spent the entire week then quizzing everyone who came into the office what's changed. And as far as I'm aware, other than Doug, nobody noticed.
Nobody.
So that's how well it went.
So on that bit of news, actually, just because you interrupted me right in the middle of what I was saying, and I've no idea what I said that made you laugh, but we'll work that out later on. We're very sadly, saying goodbye to Abby on the 21st of this month. It's her last day on the 21st. But she's going to do some volunteer work. Yeah, get it done. Let her kill you, because Abby, you've never done it. Come on, you've got to just. There's Abby. The one and only time she's going to be looking. But she's going to Bulgaria.
Don't put a torch on me, really.
To work with dogs.
She's going to kill me.
She's going to kill everybody. But if she's leaving, it doesn't matter. There she look. There's the smile. Yeah. You see, well, we'll miss that face, Abby. That's quite sad.
So, where are you going, Abby?
I'm going to Bulgaria to play with rescue dogs and have fun.
That's pretty damned amazing. So we wish you to, well, be stoic, because it's going to be quite emotional, I should think, to be honest. I'm not sure I could handle that. Yeah, stay in touch with us. That's all I can say. And when you get fed up with the dogs, you can always come back to us.
Yeah, you don't get rid of me that easily, don't worry.
No, I know. We've tried for so long. Laurie's been pushing for you to go for the last 2 years, saying get rid of Abby.
That's not true.
I want more money. He said, get rid of Abby.
That is not true. That's lies and slander.
So I'm just looking down at my phone, guys. I just texted a message. I just want to make sure it's not a rescue or anything urgent. No, that's all right. We're just preparing our generators for the Christmas cold period. So it's going to be apparently -5 tonight here. So I hope all our hedgehogs are tucked up nice and warm. And if you do see a hedgehog in the UK and it's very cold, please, to be honest, at first instance, if it's out and it's this cold, bring it in and we'll check it over for you. And if it's under 600 grams, we'll have to keep it for the winter. But yeah, keep an eye out for wildlife in this very cold snap. They might need water for a couple of days. I don't think it's going to be too cold during the day, so they'll probably be all right. But just give them a bit of a thought. If you see something that's worrying you, please don't hesitate to give your local wildlife hospital a call. Just ask for their advice. I'm sure they'll tell you what to do. I won't be, because I shall still be in bed. If it's -5, there's no way I'm getting out of my bed, and no way I'm turning my electric blanket off. End of story.
Simon has an Arctic spec down jacket that he will take out as soon as the temperature drops below about, well, let's be honest, about 25 Celsius. But you'll say
that's going to be my joke. That was going to be my joke. Look, he's becoming me, Lawrie. Apart from the beard, he is becoming me. So he's doing all my joke. And we've got to say a bit of commiserations or sadness to your mum. What's your mum done to herself recently, Lawrie?
No, we're not going on.
We're going to talk about your mum for a minute.
Mum's unfortunately injured herself at the moment, so best wishes over that.
She's got a very poorly shoulder, and I put it down to too much gin, personally. Too much gin, too early in the day.
This is not what this live stream was intended to be, you realise that?
It's a bit of a laugh, and you're going to have a laugh, guys. Ask us some funny questions, we'll see if we can get to them. Lawrie and Abby will be keeping an eye on the questions from all the various sources. So it's a bit of a free-for-all, because we haven't done this for so long, and we've got to try and get it in before my voice goes. My voice is just about, let's get the cancer thing out of the way quickly. You will probably know I've got lung cancer, it's not curable. So I've decided to be in complete denial about it. I haven't got it. It's going to go away. I actually do believe that the brain has far more ability than we give it credit for. We use about 1/10 of our brain, so we're told. I think the other 9/10 do an awful lot of things that we're not quite sure about, but I'm sure do have effect. So I have no intention of going anywhere. I intend to be annoying people for at least another 10 years. And the treatment's finished for now. The last thing was the radiotherapy, which I must admit, of all the treatments I've had, was an absolute B ... I wasn't expecting the side effects and after effects from that. They were pretty chronic for about a week. I was feeling very rough for a week. I was working at about quarter speed for at least a week, if not 2. Lawrie says I've been working quarter speed for the last 10 years, but you know, it's I still control the pay packet size, so he can never win. So yeah, so that's all going on. If you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them. But yeah, it's gone, it's happening. I'm ignoring it, and I believe that I shall be here for a long time to come yet. We've got a secret thing on the way at the moment. Lou's, my daughter, who's also deputy CEO, is working on a secret scheme or secret thing. I don't know what to call it really. I can't name it, but it's in progress. Let's put it that way. It's a secret. It's in progress.
Don't ruin the secret.
No, nobody knows what it is. Nobody could possibly guess what it is. But by the middle of January, hopefully about then, you should be finding out what it is, and it's pretty damn tremendous. So that's all going on. Any questions coming in, Lawrie, from anywhere?
Well, there's a lot of comments, unfortunately, on your recent discussions and the news on that one as well. So, yeah, it's the elephant in the room. We do have to deal with it on that one.
I've never been called an elephant
I know
before,
that a lot of people have been concerned, asking questions, all of these things, about the fact that you haven't been appearing in videos that much recently, but I suppose the big thing is, are you still going out and rescuing and all of that lot? The big question a lot of people are asking.
Definitely not, but Lawrie cries if I don't go out at all. We did go out, we went out on a rescue yesterday.
He is. All the time.
That was Fox. And we went out and did a nasty rescue today, because it wasn't a rescue, sadly it was a PTS, that was a deer. But yeah, we're still there, we're still hunkering. If it goes down below 0 at night, I don't go out on rescues. I ring Lawrie because I'm under my electric blanket shivering. And I've just told Jacob to start setting up all the generators, because with all the strikes we've got going on, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the electricity people going on strike next, and that would put everybody in England at a complete disadvantage. I think we're getting quite near a general strike, actually. It's quite scary. But there we are, life goes on, and Wildlife Aid doesn't falter along the way at all. Miriam's been working very hard. We've got some more volunteer vets coming on board, and we always are looking for volunteer vets and volunteer vet nurses. So if you know anyone or are one, please bear us in mind. If you can give us a day a week or whatever you can give us would be really helpful. It gives the team a chance to get a bit of a break and catch up with paperwork and do all the other things they need to do on top of the veterinary side of it, because being a vet here isn't really just being a vet. You're actually, like everybody here, we're a jack of all trades. So the vets not only just see the patients then sign them off to a vet nurse or whatever, but they have to see them all the way through their journey in the centre. So it's a huge amount. It's about 3 times what a normal vet would do. But Miriam does it with good faith and always a smile. I wonder if she's got an alcohol problem as well, actually, because she's always smiling. Oh dear, shouldn't have said that either. No, so Simon, no, Simon, no.
We can't control him at all. For those of you who don't know, would you like to introduce Miriam? Because a few people, especially on the YouTube side of things, may not have seen much of Miriam yet.
I would introduce Miriam. She's been with us since about September. She is a great vet so far. She hasn't made any big mistakes yet, otherwise I shall start shouting about her. But she's always happy, she's always jovial, she's always in a good mood, so that really helps. She's got a good team around her. We're still looking for more auxiliaries to come on board to help the team. Basically the vet team's getting bigger and bigger as I get older and older. I wonder why that is. Never mind. So, what else, Lloyd? Ask me some questions. We haven't any questions. Let's get off me.
So there aren't too many questions that are coming in at the moment, so if you guys do have any questions, we do have a lot to cover today, but if you do have any questions either on Facebook or on YouTube, please just leave them in the comments on both. We are monitoring both, and we will try and get through as many as possible. There's a few people saying hi, do you still have old volunteers returning? Yes, actually, we have volunteers that will disappear off for extended periods, some even sort of in the decades, will then come back. We're always open to new volunteers and old volunteers. We rely on our volunteer teams here. We'll get to that one later. But yes, so new and old volunteers are more than welcome.
Now here's a big one before Lawrie says any more. It's very hard. When Lawrie starts talking, you can never stop him. I give a tour of the centre to lots of people. It takes me 10 minutes. Lawrie gives a tour of the centre. It takes him at least 3 hours.
That is a lie.
That's Lawrie gone for the afternoon when he starts.
That is a lie.
So, but no, the big thing, we've got this. If you go onto the website, on the front page, we've got Simon's Last Wish, which sounds very morbid, but it's a way of raising money. We're trying to raise money to get this new centre built as quickly as we can, and we've already raised an incredible £430,000. So we're getting there. We've got to raise 4 million. It sounds humongously huge and impossible, but if everybody gave a quid, it would start to set the ball rolling. If you told all your friends, any big corporates, anybody, just spread the word that this campaign is really important to us because we want to get this new centre built. We've got the land, we've got the permission. All we need now is to get it built, and sadly we're going to do it just as COVID hit, so that's put an end to that. So it's now gone up in money. It's gone up from about 6 million to about 8 million, and we want to get it done as quickly as we can before it goes up anymore. So if you know anyone who might be able to help, or you can put them in touch with us or put us in touch with them, I'd be delighted to tell them more about it. There is some stuff on the new site, on the website obviously. We're still working quite hard on the wetlands and doing all the planting. Doug went down there today and came back. He was absolutely blue when he came back. That's a pretty picture of the wetlands in the summer. That was when it was warmer, but they still look quite good actually. They've done quite well. All the reeds have established really well. We're doing more planting as we speak, and we'll be doing more planting in the spring as well. So it's beginning to look really great. The reason we had to do the wetlands first is because we needed the soil from the bottom of the ponds to go up on the platform to raise the platform above the flood level. So there was a method in our madness, and obviously it takes a long time for wetlands to establish properly, but I'm amazed how quickly they look so much better, and they've only been planted for about a year, so they've done incredibly well. I will go down there probably next spring when it's about 25 degrees again, but Douglas, who's just come back from Namibia, came from 34 degrees to 10 degrees, and I think it's hit him quite hard in the chest. He didn't like it at all, and coming back an engaged man makes it even worse. So there we are. Congratulations to them both. But that doesn't mean you get to work any less, Doug. See, I'm a hard taskmaster.
So there are many people that are asking for updates on the new site. So that project is still going ahead very strongly. As Simon said, we're doing a lot of planting work and things like that. But the one thing that we're doing at the moment is letting it all build, letting nature come to it, letting everything sort of propagate as it's naturally meant to. So we've actually put a number of trail cameras, which are little sort of motion activated infrared cameras down there, just to see what is already checking the site out. And we've already had fantastic sightings on there. So this particular heron is basically appearing in every single camera shot. So we do seem to have one that likes to steal the limelight, but as well as that, we've got roe deer. We've got both male and female roe deer that are appearing down there as well, and lots of foxes, very healthy looking foxes actually, which is always nice to see. We've also seen a badger. We've seen several sort of general bird species, egrets, swans, geese, things like that as well. And one more shot for you there of the heron that will appear pretty much in everything. And this is just a very brief montage of some of the sightings that we have seen. So you can't see anything there. There you go. So we've got the first female roe deer on this one. There is no sound on this video, so the heron going past.
We could sing a little song, Lawrie, couldn't we? It's either that or having to listen to you speak.
Nobody wants to listen to me speak at all.
Exactly. So we could have a little song. There's a roe deer eating cannabis by the looks of it. That's quite scary.
It's not cannabis.
Oh my God.
Okay.
There's the badger. Hello, badger.
And there's the heron again.
We've actually already had a swan and two swans actually, and we've had Egyptian goose, Canada geese, and a few others, and a duck with ducklings. So they're already settling in. We've also had a kingfisher, which I haven't seen, but you have.
I have seen that. Yes, I have. Why does that deer keep running? Is that because you're chasing it towards the camera, Lawrie?
No, that is not. There you go. So this is actually a view of the centre as it looked towards the end of summer-ish. So you can see the planting that's going around the signs. All the weed on there has now been all sorted. That's under control. We're just slowly trying to plant as much as possible around there just to make it as nice and as wild as we possibly can. So that's an update for the new centre. In terms of building and moving WAF and all of that planned, do you have an update for us, Simon?
I do. We're actually ready to build. We've got. We had some people down there drilling or piling the platform the other day to see how deep our foundations have got to be. We're ready to start building the first 2 buildings, which will be the media centre and also a temporary visitor centre. We're going to be quite clever because we didn't want to put a temporary building down there, so we're going to make the workshops, which we don't need at the moment down there, into a temporary visitor centre. And then when we get further along the line and we move down there, the workshops will be put back to workshops, and the new visitor centre by then would have been built. So we're hoping to build all this bit spring next year. Again, that's at a cost of 1.7 million. Before Brexit and before all these problems that the world's had, not only our country, that was going to be about 750,000. So it's very nearly doubled in price, which is quite scary. The longer we wait, the more it's going to cost. So just bully everybody you know, and if anybody wins the lottery, please give me their private telephone number and I will hound them until they give us lots of money for the new centre. So always hopeful. You know me, I live in hope and denial as well. So there we are.
So, a few questions that have come in. The first one from Light Expeditions. How did Orphan season go this year?
That was ages ago. It wasn't yesterday.
It was.
So I don't remember.
Well,
it went well, I think. It went well.
It was quite busy this year. Quite busy this year. So, for those of you who don't know, what we call Orphan season is the period roughly between sort of end of February till about October, where the young animals appear, and we spend most of our time raising things and getting them back to the wild. So anything from fox cubs, badger cubs, baby birds, all matter of things. That is by far and away our busiest time of the year. So in the winter we can actually afford to breathe a little, and we can clean everything, we can get everything rebuilt, we can make sure that we take out all the bits of wood that the foxes have gnawed throughout the rest of the year. And then as soon as we hit February, which is coming up before we'll know it really, which is slightly terrifying, we'll be back straight into that, and we'll go from actually being able to breathe to not sitting down at all. We can have more than 60 plus new patients every day, plus more than 1,000 animals in the centre at any one time. It's absolutely manic. There are times, certainly in Orphan season, where we don't have a single pen free. This year I was fairly busy, certainly with the fox side of things and the young birds. The badgers, I think, are the most recent ones. They've actually gone for release relatively recently, a couple of months ago.
Yeah. And they've gone well. They've
gone really well. They're still being monitored at the moment. We're still getting regular video updates from the kind people that are monitoring this temporary set that we built. But they're going perfectly well, and hopefully the ones that have gone back will have a nice second chance in the wild.
People are asking how my swear jar's going. Well, my swear jar's not going very well at all, because the only person putting money into it are Lawrie and Abby and Lou, or 3 people. If they want me to put money in it, they can go and whistle Dixie, because it ain't going to happen.
We will empty his bank account by doing that.
You've already done that. The charity's done that over the years. But never mind. No, it's all good. So, yeah, lottery. Somebody's saying there I play the lottery every week. I'm not going to tell you, but I play the lottery all the time. If you knew how much I played, you'd all have a heart attack. But it's just a one possible. I know you stand more chance of getting hit by lightning, but it's one chance of us getting the centre built. So I do personally, not the charity, I hasten to add, spend quite a lot of money on the lottery every week. And if I do win a huge amount of money, the first thing I shall look after is wildlife aid. That's after I bought my helicopter. I'm desperate to have a helicopter, so you never know. But no, Bacardi's that's just that's always there. That's just on tap. Bacardi on tap in this place. But I haven't been able to drink for the last 3 months, so it's been a bit of a dry summer for me.
This is Simon sober, which is
no, I have got a Bacardi now. Look,
you do.
But it's about, Lawrie knows what size drinks I pour, and this is about an eighth of my normal size drink. So
someone was asking what you were drinking.
Yeah.
I told them Diet Coke, and they asked if there was any alcohol, and I said there's most likely, because it is so.
There most likely is. It's the first week actually I've been allowed to drink. So there we are. I should probably get shouted at because I'm not allowed to drink very much, and I'm trying to be a bit careful, a bit good. But as nothing's wrong with me anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm absolutely fine and shall continue to stay that way.
A bit of a serious question actually, just moving on to this. Daisy has asked, how is bird flu as a virus at the moment, and what are we doing about it? It's quite a serious one, this one.
Because we're serious. Don't smile, Lawrie. See, there's a smile. So he's not taking it seriously at all. We are obviously taking it seriously. We're one of the largest centres, so we like to be a bit of a beacon, sort of showing, or not showing, but letting people know that we do our bit. So we've got biosecurity everywhere around the centre. If we get any questionable creatures in, we send them off for testing. we're taking it very seriously. Luckily, it hasn't come onto our doorstep.
As well.
Yeah, so we've got certain birds going certain places. We do get these viruses sometimes every year, slightly different manifestations of them. But yeah, no, we're taking it seriously. We're being very careful. It hasn't come that close to us yet, but it's certainly close enough to be worried. But this, I think, is the worst year for bird flu that we've seen for many, many years. So be careful. And I think as we get global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it, I think these viruses are going to become more active and more prolonged, sadly. But we have to live with it. The world changes, we all change. I just look older and no wiser, but that's how life goes.
On that particular note, Soviet Legion has asked, has there ever been a rescue that you were reluctant to do?
No, it never happens, because I mean, if I get a rescue that I'm reluctant to do, I just tell Lawrie that I've got a bit of a headache and send him.
I knew that was coming.
It's quite easy, really. I'm the only rescue. I've never been reluctant to a rescue. There's some rescues which I know I couldn't cope with, like I think is our greatest ever rescue, which is the swan up the tree, which Lawrie did in awful conditions. Everything was against him totally, and he did that rescue, which I still is if somebody asked me what's your most dangerous, dramatic, whatever rescue, I would say it's that one, because it was a stunning rescue. It was wet, cold, windy, everything. Even the fire brigade walked away from it because they didn't want to know. But we got the swan down, which is what it's all about. So yeah, lots of things go on. Do I get reluctant to a rescue? No, I don't think I do. I've never been scared, as I said.
The only time you've definitely been reluctant is when we've had to do swans that have landed in sewage farms.
Yeah, but I've gone and done. I do them.
Oh yeah, you'll go and do it, but you'll sort of not like the fact that you're about to get covered in human poo. Especially, do you remember the cooch that flapped and covered you with it? Yeah,
it flapped its wings just as I got it to the net. It was in a huge, massive 5 million gallon pile of poo. And I got it up in the net, which was quite difficult. And just as I got it to face level and was going to grab it out of the net, it flapped its wings, and I was covered from head to toe in you-know-what. Wasn't very nice. They took me straight down the ladder and hosed me off. I got hosed off. Luckily it was summer, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, that was a pretty disgusting one. But never been reluctant. There's some I know now, sadly, I'm getting so bloody old I can't do, which is why I've got Lawrie. He is expendable and somewhat expandable.
That is true, especially as we get close to Christmas. So Elizabeth has also asked, are fallow deer native to the United Kingdom?
Yes, they are. They are. Our only what I would call our native deer are really fallow. Reds are native, and obviously muntjac. There are other deer around, but they've been brought in over the years. Some have been here quite a long time now. But in Surrey we see mostly roe deer. But we do see the odd fallow. Fallow are coming into this area more than they were. And if it's a red deer, again, I send Lawrie. Too big for me, man. Too big for me.
It's actually interesting. We've got 6 species of deer in the UK, and technically only 2 of those are native. So the red deer and the roe deer are technically the only native species that we've got. We do have a lot of others that were introduced many years ago, so that are basically considered naturalised or sort of semi-native. But in terms of technical native species, we've only got the red deer and the roe deer, and then the other ones, see if I can remember them off the top of my head, the fallow deer, the muntjac deer, you've got the Chinese water deer, and the sika deer is the other one. I don't think we've dealt with a sika before. Simon's dealt with red deer. I'm seeking now.
I'm seeking him here, I'm seeking here, I'm seeker everywhere, sorry.
Simon has dealt with red deer, and muntjac deer, whilst we used to be able to care for them, they're actually controlled by licenses now, so you have to have a license to do anything with them. But other than that, fallow deer we've had quite a lot of recently, usually cutting them out of netting, and it is slightly terrifying. We've kind of got the technique, certainly I think, more under control now of how to get them and restrain them quite quickly, but it is something that will still take a lot more people to, because one of those 80+ kilo deer, if it wants to get away, you're not stopping it, so you need as many people as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
Right, other questions? One question I have is about feeding garden birds. Any advice on the best mix to feed, as there's so many different types available?
It's a difficult question. I mean, everybody likes feeding their birds all year round. In point of fact, in reality, if I'm hard and nasty and Scroogish, you don't need to feed garden birds in the summer. they've been used to it from thousands of years, getting their own food, and it's plentiful here. As much as we're losing habitat, there's still loads of food for birds. The only time birds and any mammals need help is in a real cold snap or snowy snap or whatever. Then they obviously all need help. But as to mixes, there are different mixes made for different birds. But even just sort of general stuff that you're throwing away, old bread, stale bread or whatever, in tiny doses is fine. There's all sorts of things you can feed them, but just look at the book, see which species you want to try to attract, and Google that, and I'm sure you'll be given explicit instructions.
It's actually the advice, I believe, from the RSPCA at the moment, to try and avoid feeding birds in one place, because what we don't want to do, unfortunately, with avian flu being as prevalent as it is, we don't want to encourage birds to congregate in one particular area for food, because that really increases the risk of cross-contamination. So if you are putting food out for the birds, please put several different things out in a large area, just so you can try and split those congregations up. And to be honest, it's a good practice anyway. You get things like canker and a few other things that are passed between birds, that it's always good to try and space that out. But certainly when we've got avian flu, as big a risk as it currently is, it's worth making sure that you stop the congregations if you can.
And if you are feeding from a bowl and not just throwing it on the ground, always wash the bowl out every day, or wash the water bowl out every day, or your bird bath, wash it out every day, because it will stop or help stop the spread of diseases. So just be sensible, guys, be sensible. But obviously we've now got a cold snap coming for the next week. They're saying -5 tonight and pretty cold right through to the middle of next week. So if it does, if it is very icy and very unpleasant, and if we do get snow, those areas that do get snow, obviously all wildlife, we need a bit of a help. And if you find a hedgehog out in those sort of conditions, as I say, take it, probably at least ring a local wildlife centre just to ask the best thing to do for it, because it's a bit cold for them to be out. They should be hibernating, so there could be something wrong. But don't rush to pick it up until you seeked advice.
Yes, yeah, it's always worth, especially in any situation like this, if you do find an animal that is you believe in need of help, please always contact a wildlife rescue centre before you intervene on that, so don't pick it up, take it in, anything like that. One, we may be able to help over the phone, we may be able to stop any stress from handling that animal. We may have to come out to you, especially with deer. They get stressed very, very easily, and it's a lot better to actually deal with the deer on site than it is to try and take it back in. Especially, don't put them in your car or anything like that. If one comes to in your car, it can cause a huge amount of damage both to the vehicle and to you, so please avoid that one. But in general, if you do find one that you think is in need of help, just phone a wildlife centre. It only takes a few minutes, and they can say yes or no depending on whether you need to act further from there.
I mean, the only times you really need to act, for instance, if you live in Alberta in Canada, it was -40 yesterday. Ooh. -40. I mean, there's no
That's
way
cold.
in this world that anybody would move anywhere here. I mean, we think it's cold when it's -2. But if you
get more than about that much snow on the ground, the whole of the UK grinds to a stop.
Yeah, people, we're not good at it. I mean, most of Europe gets snow and ice and goes down to about -20 sometimes. I think the English, as stoic as they are, would be in crisis if we got that sort of cold. I personally would just be drinking Bacardi from a straw, and that would be it.
Makes no difference.
No, it makes no difference at all.
Henna on Facebook says, does your vet team offer work experience to vet students? Yes, we do. We've got quite a large variety of helpers on our vet team. We usually call them auxiliaries, which is just a name that we have for anyone that helps on our vet team that isn't a qualified vet or vet nurse at that point. So yes, we do offer anything from a couple of days to longer, several weeks, depending on where you are in your veterinary course. So if you were interested in coming and joining the vet team, there are very, very limited spaces on there, so please email vets, VETS, at wildlifeaid.org.uk, and Alana, our hospital manager, or Miriam, our vet, can get back to you on there and try and work on a date that works on there. But if you are interested, we would love to see you.
We do have obviously quite a long waiting list, as Lawrie said. There's few spaces and we have quite a long waiting list all the time, but it never hurts to get your name on there, and if something falls through or something doesn't happen, then it's very useful. The best time for us to get these volunteers in is really, as Lawrie says, between beginning of March, the end of probably June. That's our real crisis time, and that's when it's manic. That's when you're getting 60 a day, and the vets who think, oh, I wish we were busier, tend to turn around the other way and say, this is ridiculous, it's crazy. It does get incredibly busy, tempers get frayed, that's just what it's like, but the volunteers work flat out. And as I always say, and I can't stop saying, this place only works because of the volunteers. Obviously the staff are here, it works because of them, but we need the number of volunteers we've got. The work they do is really, it's just so difficult. It's not difficult, it's just working with Pooh and working with Lawrie, much of the same thing. But they are, without the volunteers and people like that and the rescuers, we get rescues. I think looking at my phone today, I think we've done over 8 rescues today in total. And that's just a small staff. We're not the RSPCA, but we've had 8 rescues going on throughout the day, all done by volunteers. And I think there's one day when one of our rescues, Mike, went out over 6 times in one day to deal with the rescue.
More than 8, actually. Mike's done more than 8 in a day.
Okay. That's just, he's just looking for the glory, Lawrie. He's just looking for the glory. That's typical Mike. I must warn him about that next time.
So it's, I've just got a message from Alana, our hospital manager, as well. So actually we are already completely booked for vets places for 2023. So as I said, it does book up very, very soon. If you want to book anything for 2024 and onwards, please get in touch, because it really, really, really does book up very, very quickly. And there are limited spaces. So if you did want to do placements here, please get in touch.
As I said before, don't stop applying. I know 23 is full, but things could change. We could get awfully busy. We might suddenly ring you up and say, "Oh, it's just gone crazy," or one of our vets might be ill, for instance. Anything like that. So don't be put off asking now and giving us your details. We will keep them on file, and if anything changes or we get more busy than we ever have been before, we could well be on the phone to you asking you to come in. So yeah, never be put off asking.
Alice said 4th year and above.
Alice has said so it's 4th year and above for vet students on there, just because of the nature of the work that we have. We do kind of throw you in at the deep end just because we kind of have to. So just for experience and what you're able to do both legally and physically, we do say 4th year and above on that one.
I wish I hadn't made that comment about Beric. You know how old he is and he finds it hard to work a computer, but he is on the chat tonight. So I'm sure I should have said something nicer. I mean, he does.
Mike is amazing.
He works his knickers off. Is that the right expression? That'll do for today.
I'm fairly sure that's not the right expression.
Well, it's good enough.
As Simon was saying, the volunteer group that we have, I know you guys see Simon and I do a lot of rescues on the YouTube channel and things like that, but we are by far and away not the only rescuers of the charity. A large number of our rescues are handled by volunteer rescue teams, of which Mike is a member, and they are absolutely insanely dedicated to it. Day in, day out, right the way through the day, a text will go out saying, "Hi, we have an injured X in Y, can anyone go out to?" They're straight on the phone, straight back saying, "Yes, I can go out." They'll break from any personal dedication that they have. They'll go out, they'll rescue that animal, and they'll hopefully set it free on site. If not, they'll bring it all the way back and then disappear. And as Simon was saying, people are doing 4, 5, 6, 8 rescues a day, right the way across Surrey, entirely voluntary. They are absolutely amazing, and we could not do what we do without them. So thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone else on that rescue team as well, because we really do rely on you guys.
Voluntarily. Not voluntary, voluntarily.
You know I can't English, I'm from the north.
I know, it's I can't English. That answered the whole thing, didn't it, really? I think you need...
Apologies to anyone from the north, I really don't mean it.
I think you need some lessons from Mr. Beric. He'll teach you how to speak proper English down Surrey, you know. Important stuff. Right, so we've missed any more questions, go on.
Yes, Vicky Pickering has asked, do you have any baby hedgehogs in for their second litter, and how is our hedgehog overwintering protocol going?
My answer to that is God only knows, because I haven't looked at the hedgehog situation for ages, because I've been too damn busy trying to A, get myself well, and B, doing stuff down in the office. So either Lawrie can answer that, or anybody who's on here can answer. I think unless Sarah's Carol is just called Mike a legend.
That's because he is.
Yeah, I'll take that under advisement.
But yeah, hedgehogs this year. Weirdly, usually we have a huge influx of hedgehogs towards the end of the year, as do pretty much every wildlife rescue in the UK. This season has been oddly quiet for us, and I hate to use the Q word because I've now just jinxed it. We actually do have a swear jar where if anyone mentions the word quiet, they have to put money in it, because it really does seem to be a jinx of a word. But I'm not sure about other rescues. If any of you are watching, please drop something in the chat, because I'd love to know on that. But we are lower on numbers than we have been previously. We've still got quite a few in, but we are certainly lower on numbers, and we're not seeing what we would usually see at this time of year, which is a hedgehog struggling, particularly thin, particularly weak and dehydrated. We're not seeing that much. Not sure whether that's just they're not being found, which is potentially there, or that something else is happening on there. But we're not seeing them yet, as Simon said, and hopefully we won't, but you never know. We will still keep an eye out. Lee has asked, are we taking blankets at the moment? I don't think we are.
I think we're okay. Alice or somebody sure could put something in the chat in a second, but I think we're okay for blankets. I'm not sure what we're like for newspapers. I think we're okay for those, but I'm quite happy to be corrected by anybody if you need either of those two things.
Yes, there's a whole load of questions. Sorry, I'm trying to go through as many of these as possible. Janet it's actually from Greater Manchester. That's near where I grew up on that one. So hello from there. And noticed a real shortage of swifts, house martins and swallows this year. It's actually something that we found as well. So we take a lot of swift swallows and house martins over the migration season. We see a big influx as they're migrating back and forth. We have had fewer in as well. We've seen less this year, I suppose, than we would have previously. Not sure why. I know a couple of other rescues have seen the same. Some have seen a lot more. So I'm not sure whether migration routes are changing, but we are keeping an eye on it, and there are a few people that are looking into it a lot more on that one. But yeah, it's been a much quieter year for swift swallows and house martins, which is a shame because they're beautiful birds.
But it has been a busy year. Don't ever think it hasn't been a busy year.
Oh no, it's been busy, but it's been more mammals and baby birds.
Yeah.
I think a lot more this year, especially foxes. We had a huge influx of foxes, and they get tangled in everything. We'll get to that in a bit. Lynn has asked, how much space will you have at the new site for rescued animals in terms of how much more than we currently do?
About twice the space we've got now. We'd never want to get too full because we want to give every animal enough care and attention, and I think we can cope with twice the amount of animals we've got, but it will stretch us. It would mean we've got to double the volunteer numbers, and you've got to do, one thing happening causes another 5 things to have to happen. I mean, Alice, I think if we had to sort of quadruple our volunteers next year, would go from sort of her lovely dark coloured hair to the same colour as my hat, if that happened, because it's a huge task. I mean, Alice is forever doing the rota. She has all the other stuff to do as well. She's having a particularly hard time at the moment because we're just swapping databases, and it has proved to be, I think, far more of a trial than we thought it would be, but Alice got stuck with the brunt of that as well. So yeah, it's always difficult, but the staff work so damned hard, and perhaps they don't get thanked enough, but I try to do my best, and the volunteers, obviously, every single person matters at this place, which means that every single animal matters to us, which is what we're all about at the end of the day. I'll shut up now if I ramble.
There's a question that's just come in from the account A Child Who Loves Wildlife, Geography, Coins and RDR. On the pictures of the wetlands, the fox has grey fur. Does that mean anything? So the photo we're referring to is this one. This is actually just a regular colour morph of the red fox. So whilst foxes are traditionally orange with the white tip on the tail, they can have a few different variants in there. This one's not too bad. The grey on the back side usually is an older fox, though it's not specifically on there, and you'll see on that one it also has a black belly compared to the white belly that you'd normally see as well. But that is typically normal for a fox. We do see much more grey than that on certain ones, but in general, if you get a fox in that's completely orange with no sort of greying or speckling on the back, it would usually be a younger animal, sort of sub 2 years old. Once you start to see that greying, that white on the backside, that's usually a sign that it's an older animal, so 3 years plus. They'll usually go off wear on the teeth and things like that to try and roughly judge an age. But that is perfectly normal. There's several, I believe it's morphotypes, phenotypes of fox there. We do get much more grey ones as well, and much more orange ones.
Laurie's on a run there. I mean, I time all his chats now. My chats are a third of the length of his chats because he keeps going on and on. That picture, by the way, of the fox running through 20 acres was Laurie's probably one of his best attempts at still photography. He does struggle with this.
That is true.
He does struggle with this. He has actually, it brings us nicely into the fact, which I haven't even looked at this list that Laurie gave me earlier. But we do have merchandise stuff. We have the most amazing book, which Laurie took some years to shoot, but we've now got a book out which I've got. How many photos, Laurie?
120.
So 120 wildlife photos, all wildlife photos. They're brilliant. The book we have for sale. We have a calendar for sale, which I think is mainly shot by Abby and Lawrie, or just Abby. I'm not sure which. So
the good ones are Abby, the bad ones are me.
Okay. Then we have video DVDs for sale. We've got this old book for sale. We've got other books. We've got, go to our website, look at what we've got for sale, and you can buy pretty much anything. We'll sell anything if it comes in at the right price. We tried to sell Lawrie the other day. We didn't even get one bid from anybody.
No one would offer for that.
No, we even offered to give him away, and they still didn't come on to us. So that I rest my case.
So in terms of the shop, so if you want to head over to our website, which is just wildlifeaid.org.uk/shop, we do have an awful lot of things on there. Unfortunately, the last date for international delivery for Christmas has now passed. But if you did want to get something in time for UK Christmas, our last date for posting is December the 19th. So you only have 12 days left on that. There's a whole load of things on there, anything from animal adoption packs right the way through to Simon's autobiography, and a whole load of things on there. Every penny raised from that does go back into the centre to help us save more animals. So if you do that, we'll be greatly appreciative. Abby will drop some links down in the various chats just to link you to that one.
Just checking the time, Lawrie, just checking the time. The other thing that's going on, obviously we showed you some pictures of 20 acres earlier on. We've actually got, at the moment, we've got 40 black poplars to plant. We've just got, I think, a delivery of some 2,000 or 3,000 whips. We're planting pretty much all the way through the winter and into the spring. There's always lots of work to do down there. There's always clearing to do around the ponds and weeds and all this sort of thing. So poor Alice, we wouldn't give her this task at all. But if you are interested in volunteering down at 20 acres to do some work, Doug is in charge of that. Doug is on, it can be emailed. Probably the best way to get hold of him. And I don't know which email address does he use.
idot@wildlifeaid.org.uk. So idot@wildlifeaid.org.uk. On that particular note, we do have openings for volunteers coming down to help us plant the trees. So we do have a couple of days remaining. I'll just need to ask Abby which particular ones are free, because Doug just messaged them earlier. But we do have some free days. If you were interested in coming down to our new site and helping plant those trees, please do. This is all the information that you need there. So this is our current site and where our new site is. And we're just looking up the days that we have.
Monday and Thursday.
So Monday and Thursday,
10 a.m. till 1 p.m.
10 a.m. till 1 p.m. If you did want to come down, this is next week. So it is unfortunately quite short notice.
The 12th, the 15th, 10 till 1.
The 12th to 15th, 10 till 1. We are trying to look these up at the same time.
And then Friday the 16th, 1 till 4.
And Friday the 16th, 1 till 4. So if you did want to come down to a new site and help us get those trees in, we would absolutely love your help. Please get in touch with Doug on there. So idot@wildlifeaid.org.uk, idot@wildlifeaid.org.uk. Any help would be greatly appreciative. Because we do have 20 acres of land down there, so that's quite a lot of planting that needs to go in.
I think we need to call a psychologist, Lawrie, a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Somebody's just said on this chat that, where is it? Oh, Lawrie is gorgeous, I'd bid on him. Bring on the bidding. Bring on the bidding.
My mum.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Is it? No, it doesn't look like
that's
your
someone who needs an eye test. Sorry.
I'm very nasty to Lawrie, but I do quite like him actually. But I'm never going to tell him that because he'll just ask for a pay rise. It just never works to
I want
say
£1 million
to anybody.
a day.
Get stuff. Simple. Simple.
Right. So we'll go into a few things on the rescue side of things as well. So we've been very, very busy this year. A lot of things have happened, a lot of quite nice stories. So we've got a few photos on here of some rescues that we have done, and we'll just discuss a bit more about those. So Simon, do you remember, in terms of recent ones, this particular rescue?
I do remember that because I didn't get the board down in time, and Lawrie did it, and Lawrie and I weren't quite in sync, but we did get in sync. He was about to disappear down a tube that I didn't think he'd get down. So that is a manhole that's probably about 5 feet deep, something like that. And those little pipes, I think those soil pipes are 5 inches from memory. I think most soil pipes are about 5 inches.
And I thought the size of a badger.
Yeah, well, no, they're supposed to be smaller than the badger, even a small badger, but he was just about to disappear out of that. We had to work really quickly, and we got him out of there. Well, I didn't. I used the grasp, but Lawrie went down there because I wasn't going to go down there, because with a bottom like Laurie's, he can afford to be looked at. My bottom, you don't want to look at at all. But no, we got it. There he was, disappearing. So Lawrie grabbed his feet, which is a pretty dangerous thing to do, and he had to be quite quick. But as he came back out, I managed to get the grasp around the badger as well. And we literally just released him about 100 yards down the road, where we found the entrance, or a couple of entrances actually, to a set. He liked the look of one of them because he got quite excited in his box, and he disappeared down the hole in seconds, as they say in the Bible.
Indeed, it was quite a nice one, that one. We certainly would say, do never try and touch a badger, even if it's down and injured and seemed completely out. Do not touch a badger. They can do some serious damage, and if you get bitten by them, you will be in A&E. The only reason we did that one there is he was contained by the pipe, we could get him out, but certainly do not try and approach a badger. Always leave that to a professional if you find one that is injured. So next rescue, Simon, do you remember this one? And I believe we need to get Abby in for this one.
Oh, what is it?
Oh yes, that was Abby. That was one of her brighter moments, wasn't it?
Oh, it's my genius idea.
That's a brilliant idea. There's a building site. They were still in the middle of building the houses. They'd left all the tops off the sort of little manholes. They weren't very big manholes, but a fox cub had got down there. Every time we got anywhere near it, he just disappeared. It was a maze all around there. We put cameras down there. We went down from both ends, and every time we got near him, he just disappeared to where we couldn't get him. So Abby had this bright idea of playing the sound of a mummy fox, I think it was, or was it baby foxes, Abby? One or the other.
It was a mother.
Yeah,
it was a mother fox calling her cubs.
So we sort of stood slightly back out the way, but had the grasp already, and the mother calling the cubs, which, you know, was a brilliant idea from her. Out it came, very inquisitive. It thought it might be mummy, and he was presented with a grasper instead, and we got him out, and he's lived with ours until he went back to the wild. But
yeah, you know, he is now back in the wild. He grew up with one of our fox cub groups just to learn how to fox, as it were, but is now back in the wild, and hopefully is very much enjoying the second chance that Abby very kindly and very smartly was able to give to it.
You see, just all Abby's got to do now is look at that picture and think, because she's not here, you know, those foxes won't ever be saved again. They're going to be left down the manhole.
Blackmail.
And you know that she feels guilty about leaving us and going out to work with dogs in Bulgaria. Well, that's just, you know, I just look at the fox's face and think, no, Abby, no chance.
You just need to think of me in your brain, what I would do in that situation, and you'll be fine.
It was a very
God
good idea.
help us all.
So, do you remember this particular rescue, Simon?
Yes, I do. I remember that one as well. That was a fox at the bottom of a fencing panel, but right next to it was a very solid, you can see the solid post on the left-hand side. You couldn't move anything really to it, so we had to dig under the fox's head, basically. It was quite a tricky rescue. It's such a tight space. So we had to dig down under the ground, and he wasn't very happy about it, but it was the only way to get him out, which we did. But it was quite hard because the fence post, we just couldn't move them. We can normally prise fences apart enough to get an animal out. That one just wasn't going to happen, no way. So it was an excavation work.
Usually in a case like that, certainly when animals fall down fences, they tend to fall down a V like this. So the way you generally do that is you take them out the way that they came in. Same thing with deer in gates or anything like that. That one was absolutely impossible, would not move whatsoever. So it was the only time, certainly that I can remember, I don't know if you've had to do it before, we've actually had to dig down to take the fox down and back out. Quite a complicated rescue, took quite a long time, but the fox was weirdly cooperative for the whole thing, didn't once try and bite, wriggle free or anything like that, but as soon as she was out there, life returned and she was off, like straight away. We thought she was going to be brought back to the centre, but she was put in the box within 5 seconds. She was up, looking around, ready to go, open the box, and she shot off.
Gone.
So very much a memorable rescue for me, that one.
I think it's because it was the first time the fox actually saw your face. I think that was what caused it. Yeah, it went.
You're so mean.
He was looking at me while I was rescuing
calling you Santa, but you're secretly the Grinch.
It saw a friendly old face, it thought he's alright, and then it saw Laurie's face, it thought, holy hell! Ding dong, merrily on high.
What a perfect segue, holy hell. Do you remember this one?
Oh, that was the one we were talking about. Oh no, that wasn't. That was Ashton Pond this year.
It was. Yeah,
it was.
as
See,
Abby
I'm not
said, that
guilty.
stank. That was
It did stink.
really, really smelly. So this was when we had a heat wave in the UK, and that heat wave actually dried up pretty much every water source that we had around here, including this particular lake, and what was left was a really thick sort of viscous mud. And unfortunately this magpie had tried to land in said mud and had got quite badly stuck. So we got there, and I'll be honest, I put my wellies on and thought, you know what, we'll just wade out, we'll pick it up and we'll go back. Of course, I walked out 2 steps and then was up to my knees completely. I tried to then turn around and got stuck, and my welly boot fell off. I then had to grab it with both hands and yank it to try and get it up, then put my foot back in to escape on there. All the time Simon is finding it absolutely hilarious.
It's Lawrie just not organised. Lawrie doesn't think ahead. He thinks in the second, he's in the moment, but he doesn't think about the moment afterwards when it all goes tees up. I can't say the proper word probably, but
yeah,
never mind.
You went to get a net, and we sort of reached out with the net. We were able to scoop under the bird and pull it all back. But
that's
I was
exactly
quite
how I
glad
did
for
the
that
one
because I was quite stuck.
That's how I did the one in human poo. I had to get the net into the poo under the bird to bring the whole thing up, and because the net then gets very heavy, if you have to be very careful, because you could well easily break the pole because of the weight of all the, for want of a better word, shit in it, which it was. So yeah, you have to pull it up. So bringing the net up, you have to not bend the pole. You have to keep the pole straight, and you sort of feed it up as carefully as you can, and then the little devil flapped its wings. So I just put it back in there. I thought, that's it. I'm going to put it back in there.
People will believe that. No. The other thing, when our poles as well, you've seen us use them on various things. Our poles are actually carbon fibre, just for the lightness of it, especially when you've got a big pole above your head. Anything that's made of metals, it's just far too heavy. It takes so long to actually do anything. And to be honest, if you accidentally clip something with it, it can cause a massive amount of damage both to property and to the animal you're trying to help. So we do have carbon fibre poles. The problem with carbon fibre is it's very, very, very easy to break if you're not careful and you whip too quickly. So we do have to be really careful. You see on the rescues that we have with bird of prey in warehouses, you do have to be really careful how quickly you can move that net, because you do too quickly, the end will snap off and you are completely stuffed. But they're fishing poles, I believe.
They are horribly expensive. They're carp poles. And you can get them up to, I think the longest one we've got is about 11 metres. You can get them up to 18 metres, but they're so thin. So we use the 18 metre one sometimes if we want to flick something off the roof, because obviously the poles aren't strong enough to put a net on the end of that length. We can only go up to about 6.5 metres with the poles that we put the nets on. So we have to get the bird flying a bit lower, and hopefully he'll perch on something a bit lower down on the side of the building, and then we get the nets up and we do the pincer move on the nets. We put one net either side of it and bring it down together so it's enclosed in the nets, and that is a very tricky manoeuvre that Lawrie and I have developed over the last 527 years.
It does feel like it. So next rescue is actually one that you weren't there on that, and to be honest, I'm fairly sure you're going to be happy with this, because this is another one that stank. This is a gull, so this is actually quite an old rescue now. This is one that was done pre all the advice with avian flu, so certainly now there's much stricter rules about what you can and can't do with water bird species like this one, especially in this sort of condition, but this is a bit of an older one. So this young girl had come down in a whole load of pondweed and actually couldn't get the energy up to fly again. It's incredibly thick. So Jacob and I went out to that one. We launched the boat thinking that we'd just be able to row through it and it will be perfectly fine, and we did not move at all. And we took turns rowing, and we were probably moving less than an inch with every row stroke. It took forever to get over there. Really did. It took probably half an hour or something like that to be able to get over there.
It really did take a very long time.
See, guys,
Abby's reminding you of that.
If they don't take the boss, it all goes wrong. They just don't know. They don't think.
Which we couldn't get it from land. The poles that we had just didn't reach from there, so we had to go out on the boat. But we were able to pick it up, we were able to wash it off, and that bird was then able to take off as well. It's the same thing that we see every year with swans. They'll come down and they'll think wet tarmac is a river or anything like that, and they won't be able to get the energy needed to take off again. So most bird species require some sort of run-up. Most of the bigger ones, anyway, require some sort of run-up. And if they're confined, so they're in a garden that they can't run particularly far in, or like that gull, they're confined by weeds. They actually just can't get the space to get the momentum to take flight. So we were able to help that one, but it was a very weird and very smelly one. I think I've still got the smell in my nose.
Bet I would have got it quicker than you did.
You probably
Any
would.
money you like.
You probably would. I'm not even denying that one.
Excellent.
So let's move to a more recent one on YouTube, but actually not a more recent one this year. Do you remember this one, Simon?
I do remember that. I was the only time I've been slightly worried about Lawrie, because I thought we were going to have to call the fire brigade to get Lawrie. So it's very hard to visualise this, but that pigeon was down a cavity really, inside a house. The fire brigade had been out, another big organisation had been out too, I won't name them, and said it was impossible. The only way to do it was cut a large hole in the side of the house. But we went out. Lawrie managed to wriggle down there. He had to cut all sorts of bits of wood away with a very tiny saw, which took him ages. And the pigeon had also got wedged under a brick, as you can see there. He's a bit of a dilapidated state. He was all right in the end, but it was quite a tricky rescue. And Lawrie really, also the other thing, which you can't see on this, is behind Laurie's bottom as he went down the hole was a bloody great 6-inch nail, excuse my French, sticking out at the side, and that nearly skewered him a couple of times.
So it wasn't sticking out for long, it was sticking in.
Okay, well, sticking in as much as out, but it was a very tricky one to do.
It did get me a few times. You had to actually unhook me as I got out of there. You had to unhook me because it was actually impaled in my side.
I had to have my hand incredibly unpleasantly close to Laurie's bottom, and that's quite a scary thing to happen actually, but never mind.
What has happened to these live streams? We used to be so professional.
Come on, we've never been professional. Don't start that one. That's a load of baloney.
The other thing that unfortunately we've seen an awful lot of at the moment is netting. So every year we see more and more and more netting cases, and this year is no different. Anything from foxes to deer, we've had a magpie in netting, we've had a whole load of birds arriving in netting, and it's something that we and other wildlife centres see all the time. We actually have done, relatively recently, we did an adult fox in netting in a schoolyard. And the thing is with this, a lot of it is completely and utterly avoidable. So especially if you have a football net and it's out, it's not in use, please just raise it just about 1 foot off the ground. Actually, I've just received a message from my other half who didn't know that I was impaled on that nail, so I've just dropped myself royally in it right there. Sorry. But if you just raise a net off the ground by 30 centimetres, so a foot, you can actually get wildlife passing underneath. You'll still be able to drop it down and use it as and when you want to, and it will save so many lives. We see so many things entangled in there, and sadly some of them are strangled, some of them are damaged. There's cases that unfortunately are fatal every year, and it's so easy to avoid. So if you can avoid netting entirely, that is amazing. If you can't, please just raise it off the floor, because you can save so many things doing so.
Someone's just rung from Belvedere in southeast London saying there's a magpie in a store. It's been there for 5 days. I just asked them if they're putting some water out for it. It needs feeding, obviously, but if they put water out, at least it'll hopefully be all right until you get a wildlife rescue centre to go up for it. I'm not sure how far Belvedere is from us. I recognise the name, but I'm not quite sure where it is. But I mean, necessary. They haven't rung us certainly.
It's worth, if you ever do have an animal in need of help, there's a fantastic website which is www.helpwildlife.co.uk. You can put your postcode in there and it will give you a list of all of your local wildlife rescues, including the species that they deal with. So on that, I would certainly see if there is a local one that can get out on there. If not, please get in touch and we'll see what we can work out and see if we can find anyone that is close and able to help as well.
I was just going to Google Belvedere then, but obviously my screen's on the YouTube thing. I don't know whether one of you have got your phones.
Oh, technology.
Have a quick look. Just find where Belvedere. I don't think, I've got a funny feeling it's not that far away.
We will have a look. Nikki has asked, if you could have a tattoo of only 3 animals, what would that be? I'm fairly sure I could work out yours.
It'd be Lawrie. I'd have Lawrie tattooed on my backside.
No, you would not.
I would not. That would be it for me. That would just make my day.
I resign, effective immediately. I'm joining Abby.
Excellent.
Bye.
That's one way to get rid of him. See? Done. Done and dusted.
Tried for 10 years to do that. But I'm fairly sure wolves would feature. you do have a real soft spot for wolves.
I do have a soft spot for wolves. I think wolves would probably be my number 1, bears probably my number 2, badgers probably my number 3, or otters. I love them all, but this is why, because I'd be covered in tattoos. I look a complete wreck, so I don't think we'll go there.
You do like otters, you just don't like handling them.
I like handling them I'm more prepared now.
As you ran out of
after the last time. After the last time, I'm more prepared for otters. So they are coming down here. Actually, we've been out to one otter in this area this summer. Sadly, it died a couple of days after. Was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was this year. No,
it wasn't this year. It was last year.
Time and a half fly when you're having fun, doesn't it? Yeah. So only one, but they are around. They're quite a solitary animal. They have quite a big territory and a big range. So you don't get many to the inch. Let's put it that way. But I'm sure we'll be seeing more in the coming months, or coming years, rather.
Yes, yeah. John has just asked, have you ever rescued an animal that seemed openly grateful? That's an interesting one for you.
Well,
you've done thousands.
We like to anthropomorphise and think they are grateful, because they often turn around and have a stop and turn around and look at us, probably because they think they'd really like to have bitten us before they went. We like to think they're saying thank you. But you do get some animals that seem a bit more grateful than others. It's hard to tell. I don't care whether they're grateful or not. This is what floats my boat. We go to a rescue where the animal was going to die if we didn't get there. And if we get it out from that situation, I don't care whether it's grateful or not. We've done what we went to do, and that's it. End of story.
It's certainly with an animal as well. Remember that they don't realise that we're there trying to help. They think that we're a predator that's just about to finish the job. So as soon as they get away, most of the time they're running away thinking, haha, we've outsmarted the predator and we've managed to escape. There are very, very few, if any, that will openly cooperate in any rescue, and to be honest, that's probably due to a freeze fear response rather than anything else. There are some that are a lot less pecky, bitey, hissy, anything like that, as we're helping out, than you would expect. But as Simon says, we try not to anthropomorphise any of the patients here, just because they are wild animals, and at the end of the day their response is very much instinctually driven by the fight, the flight, and all of that lot. So we do try not to go down that, but we do like to hope secretly that that is something that does go on.
So Belvedere is nearly an hour away, which means we wouldn't necessarily go. However, if the bird is still there and nobody else will go, we could probably get someone to go out there. But we need to see pictures of the place. We need to see whether it's always in sight or it spends a lot of time out of sight. There's a lot of things we ask questions on the phone before we go to rescue like that, to make sure we're not just going to waste our time driving out and there for 2 hours and get nothing. So we need to know more details, but hopefully you'll find that there will be a centre nearer to you.
South Essex Wildlife is 9.6 miles away. I've put a link in the chat to the person who asked the question for their nearest rescue.
So Sue Schwa, who runs Wildlife Essex, she's got nothing to do. She's quite old now.
Wildlife Essex. South Essex Wildlife Hospital.
Yes, she's not very good at what she does.
I can only say that
because I hope to help she's not on YouTube, or she'll give me grief.
She will murder you.
She will. I'm quite scared of Sue Schwa, actually. She's one of the few people in this world who scares the living daylights out of me. No, they're very good. We do swapsies with them sometimes. We swap badgers for foxes and all sorts of things. She's about an hour away from us, just over an hour actually from us. So she's about our closest wildlife centre, to be honest. We've got obviously Tiggerwinkle's up to the west of them. We've got her to the east.
We've got Hart Wildlife down in Hampshire, which is only about 45 minutes-ish.
Yeah. There's quite a big gap between most of the centres around here.
But as Simon sort of alluded to there, this industry is actually quite small. The wildlife rehab industry is quite small, especially in the UK, and it really is important that all of the centres do work together. So when we do get foxes, badgers, especially young ones, we will work together as a group to make sure that the release groups that we've got are as good as we can possibly get them. So if we have more males than females, we'll sort of send some of our males away, we'll get females in, so we can have a nice 50-50 split in the group. We will all work together to try and make sure that we've got good release sites and we've got a good population that can actually go back, that the ecology can then support. So it really is important that all wildlife rescues do work together on that one, because it's, at the end of the day, we're all in it together, we're all doing the same thing, and it's what's best for the animals.
Yeah, obviously Sue Schwa's not in on the chat, because she had been on the chat, you'd have seen some language coming up on the chat,
yes,
which would have even scared me.
You would have got a phone call immediately.
Yeah, I would have been in a lot of grief. She's brilliant, like all wild, we all have our own eccentricities. I'm sure a lot of people hate me. I certainly hate a lot of other people. But at the end of the day, when you need to, you belt down and muscle in together, because that's how it all works. We've all got our own style of doing things. Some of us disagree with things others do. But at the end of the day, it's an animal saved which wouldn't otherwise have got saved. So I should stop being so picky and be nicer. I don't think I could be. I'm too old to be nice, Lawrie. I've done too long.
I'm aware of that.
Look, as much as I do to grow. Look, I've got a tiny bit of hair, guys. Tiny bit of hair.
Back.
It is growing back. It is. It is. It's very white, rather like my beard. Never mind.
No
Hat
problem.
on again. That's better. Look, that covers me up a bit. That's quite good news.
You've got wires everywhere now.
I have. I've got wires all over the place.
So,
Lawrie wires me in case my heart stops.
Slimy Lemonsy has asked, I rescued a wood pigeon tick in September. He was about 2 days old. I've raised him for the last 4 months and now he's a juvenile. Should I give him up? So the answer to that, to be completely honest, yes, at that point. Birds, especially wild birds, one, there's a legal obligation to return all wild birds back to the wild. So under the Wildlife and Countryside Act, it is actually illegal to keep any wild bird without the intention of release on there. And they need the specialisms, I suppose, of not only their own kind, but of a wildlife rescue, just to learn how to be that bird. So in this case, how to be a pigeon.
They need to be with their own kind anyway, because that's half of how they learn. So really 4 months is a bit, excuse my anger, but not anger really, it's a little bit of a gentle thing. Don't keep them for that long. Give them to a wildlife centre. They'll put them with other birds of the same age, the same groupings, and they then stand a much better chance of getting back to the wild. I'm not saying yours can't, and it probably will, but it needs to go to a wildlife centre now first, just to make sure it's okay, to make sure it knows what it's got to do. So it needs to go to a big place and find its own food, and it needs to go to wildlife hospital. That's
we
why we
and
do what
others, we sort of specialise in helping animals, especially young animals, go back to the wild, able to cope completely. Over the years, the industry has developed several ways of making sure that a bird isn't imprinted and learns how to hunt and do everything that you would expect. Obviously, pigeons not going to hunt, but everything that you would expect a wild animal of that particular species to do. So it's certainly, please try and contact your local wildlife rescue. It's certainly not too late on there, especially with the pigeon. The issue you have is it's not seen its own kind. It's going to think it's a human at that point. So you need to make sure that it's with its own kind so it can learn what it is and how to react accordingly. So it's certainly worth getting in touch with someone. They'll be perfectly polite, perfectly kind on there. Just get it over there. It's just the best thing that we can do with that animal to give it the best possible chance of going back to the wild.
So Lawrie would quite happily run this live chat through to about midnight, but it is now 8:05. We're going to say goodbye to you. We're going to say, I'm going to give Lawrie 1 minute in a minute to sign off, but I'm just going to say thanks so much for watching. We'll try and make these a more regular thing. We had a bit of a blimp in the summer because of what was going on, but we're back to normal now. As I say, I have in total denial. There's nothing wrong with me at all. And if I do need a body part, I'll just steal it from Lawrie when the time comes. It works for me. But thanks for watching this. Do check in with our website. Lots of stuff you can buy for Christmas. The big appeal would be brilliant. Bully people to give you money for it. See if you can become a little mini fundraiser for us and get a little tub of money for us for this new centre. And the merchandise is all there. Laurie's book, which is brilliant, by the way. That's the last plug I'm giving him tonight. My books, which are all right. No, I better not say that because Nick wrote them. My books are brilliant. And we love talking to you. It's been a while. I think we got to most of the questions. I don't know whether we had many on Facebook. I didn't hear of many coming through.
We had a selection from both.
A selection from both. Lawrie being, he's still trying to grow that beard. I think he should give up. I think really
this is probably going tonight.
So I'm going to say good night. Thank you very much for watching. We are here. We will be back. We'll try and do it. We're going to do it monthly or bi-monthly, Lawrie. It's up to you, really.
We will see. We will. Unfortunately, this is the last one that we have this year, for sure. We will look back into it in the new year, and it'd be great to get your guys' feedback about what you prefer. Would you prefer it as a monthly thing? Would you prefer it every quarter? Please do let us know. We do take all your suggestions to heart, and we will try and work around them as best we possibly can. So please do let us know. But as Simon said, thank you all so much for all your support, all your donations, all your comments, your questions, your jokes, everything that you've done over the years, and especially over this year that's just gone. We really, really do appreciate it. We could not be here without your support. We are entirely publicly funded. You are the reason that we can keep going. So thank you to you guys. Thank you, of course, to all of the volunteers that we have who are watching this as well. As Simon said, you are the lifeblood of the centre. You really do keep everything running, and this centre would not operate in any way, shape or form without your help. So thank you all for everything you've done this year. You have done so much.
We always forget, we always thank the volunteers and the rescues, whatever, but I mean a huge thanks to our staff, especially to Alice. We hope we see her smiling soon, because she's going to get to the end of this huge database transfer, which must be driving her absolutely crazy. And I feel for her. I do feel for her, but I am also quite scared of her at times. So we'll see how that goes. We've got our Christmas party soon for the staff, so hopefully she'll be fine for that. We'll just tank her up with booze. It's the only way to deal with it. It'll be fine. Have a great Christmas, guys. Have a great time, and we will see you hopefully quite early in the new year. That would be brilliant. So to all our staff, thank you. Lawrie is one of them. To Abby, we'll see you in about February when you get fed up with Bulgaria. And yeah, she'll be back. She'll be back. She can't leave us. It won't work. Mate, we're going to go. Guys, thank you so much. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. See you in 2023.
Thank you. We'll be back.
Bye.